people say stuff. Lots of phrases have made their way into our language as if they were words. People say stuff that doesn't make sense, like a wet bird doesn't fly at night. Stuff that makes a ton of sense, like to make the best better, and stuff that you can tell has meaning but can't quite figure out, like the saying, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Hi, I'm Michelle Schroeder, and this is Lunch. And today we will be talking about how and why to look a gift horse in the mouth, or how to age a horse using dentition. Based on a variety of factors, the teeth can give us an idea as to how old a horse is. The saying, never look a gift horse in the mouth, equates age with value, so it means to be appreciative of everything you're given. And although that is very true, if you are ever given a real-life gift horse, or anytime you're considering acquiring a new equine, you should definitely look it in the mouth or figure out how old it is. Knowing what stage of life an animal is in is very important, as that affects the care and expectation of the horse in ways such as performance, vet care, and nutritional needs. A horse is typically born without any teeth, so that means it's completely reliant on its mare. However, the teeth start growing in very quickly, as we'll learn today that 8 is a popular number. Because the central incisors, which are these 4 teeth, appear at just 8 days old, and all 12 premolars appear within the first 2 weeks of life. These 6 teeth on either side are the premolars. At this point in the horse's life, all the teeth are deciduous, meaning that they will eventually be replaced by permanent teeth. Deciduous teeth are lighter in color and smaller in size than their permanent counterparts, and can also be called caps or milk teeth. At 8 weeks old, the intermediate incisors, which are these 2 teeth on either side, appear. At this time, the teeth are at a near 180-degree angle of incidence. The angle of incidence refers to how the top and bottom teeth line up, so 180 degrees means they're almost completely straight, like this. We will see it shift as the horse ages. At 8 months old, the corner incisors, which are these 2 teeth on either side in front of the interdental space, appear. Not much happens, but the teeth continue to get bigger. This is a yearling mare. Her angle of incidence is on the pregnant acute size for a horse's age, but take note of the color and size of her teeth. We will see differences compared to older horses we'll view today. At 2.5 years old, the horse starts to shed its deciduous teeth. So don't worry if you see loose teeth in the horse's mouth or teeth that have fallen out in a stall or pasture. Just like humans, horses can experience some teething pain, so teething can explain unusual eating habits in young horses sometimes. The first teeth to be replaced are the central incisors, and then the second premolars. At 4 years old, the central incisors are considered to be in wear. This means that the angle of incidence has reduced to such that as the horse chews over time, the shape will be changed. And the intermediate incisors and third molars erupt at about 3.5. The third molars are these teeth. Molars do not exist in deciduous form, so they are only ever given one set of them. This is a 3-year-old gelding. If you notice, his teeth are about as tall as they are wide. He has a fairly steep angle of incidence still. Take note of the shape of his teeth from the occlusal or overhead view seen on the top photo. It's like a rounded rectangular shape. This is a 4-year-old. We can say there's already a difference in the angle of incidence, and his teeth are already bigger. The occlusal shape of the teeth is the same. I believe his only cap easily seen in this picture is the bottom corner incisor. Between 4 and 5 years old, the permanent corner incisor, and in males, the canines and wolf teeth erupt. Canines and wolf teeth don't exist in deciduous form, just like the molars. And by 5, a horse has a full mouth. This means that all of its permanent teeth have come in. At 4 years old, the corner incisors are in wear, quickly followed by the rest of the teeth in the mouth, but the incisors are only visible teeth, so they'll be what you refer to when aging a horse by its teeth, usually. At 6 years old, cups appear. Cups are indentations on the occlusal, which is the top of the bottom teeth or the bottom of the top tooth, and due to wear. And at 7 years old, hooks may appear on the corner incisors. Hooks are little sharp outgrowths of enamel, and why it's important to get our horses floated on a regular basis. They appear at 7 because the angle of incidence is decreasing, so the whole surface of the tooth isn't being evenly worn down. This is a 7-year-old gelding. He has a small hook on the top corner incisor. His teeth are full grown. You can see that there's a size difference compared to the younger horses. And there's a change in the angle of incidence. At 8 years old, the cups begin to disappear, and the dental stars appear at 9. The dental stars is this light mark near the front of the tooth. 10 years old marks an important milestone in aging horses throughout their teens. This is the Galvin's groove. The Galvin's groove is an indentation on the front surface of the tooth and will change as the horse ages. At 10 years old, the incisors also will begin to round, so they will no longer be a somewhat rectangular shape. This is a 10-year-old. He already has obvious Galvin's groove on his intermediate and central incisors, and it's just starting on his corner incisors. In the overhead view, we can see that there's already a shift in the shape of his teeth. They're starting to round. At 11 years old, a horse has a smooth mouth, meaning all the cups have disappeared. This is an example of a smooth tooth because there's no obvious indents near the center. At 13 years old, the Galvin's groove is probably about a third of the way down the tooth, and enamel spots appear. Enamel spots are small, dark marks on the top surface of the tooth. This tooth has a visible enamel spot in the center. This is a 13-year-old gelding. His Galvin's groove is definitely more obvious than the 10-year-old geldings, and there continues to be a shift in the angle of incidence. This particular horse doesn't yet have enamel spots, but will within the next year. At 15 years old, if there are any cups remaining from when the horse reached its smooth mouth at 11, they are certainly gone. The Galvin's groove is about halfway down the tooth. The teeth will be an interesting shape because they're not quite rectangular and they're not quite round. They're switching to be triangular. This is a good example of a teeth that's kind of in between shapes. Because at 17, all the teeth have become angular, and the enamel spots will have disappeared. At 20 years old, the Galvin's groove reaches the occlusal surface, or is the whole length of the tooth, and spaces may begin to appear between teeth. And the angle of incidence may have been reduced to less than 90 degrees. 90 degrees is about this, so the teeth may look somewhat like that. This is an example of a tooth that has a full-length Galvin's groove. This is a 20-year-old mare. Because of her overbite, the angle of incidence may be a little bit harder to judge. She still has enamel spots, but that's not typical. But because of her odd dentition, we can infer that her teeth do not wear properly. Her teeth do show a great shape of what a triangular teeth looks like, and they've probably been that shape since she was 17. She does have an obvious Galvin's groove on all visible teeth. After 20 years old, there are no super obvious milestones to age the horse like there were throughout the teens. The more worn the teeth look, the older the horse is. Spaces specifically may be continued to increase between teeth, and the Galvin's groove sometimes disappears by 30 years old. This is a 23-year-old gelding. He still has an obvious Galvin's groove. Looking at the occlusal surface of his teeth, he doesn't have an obvious enamel spot or cups or anything like that. His angle of incidence is definitely about 90 degrees. As he gets older, his teeth will also look more worn. Today we decided that although it is very important to be appreciative of everything you're given, proper care is the best gift you can give your equine friends. I promise they will be very appreciative of it. And to determine how to best care for your horse, figuring out its age is helpful. Because of a variety of factors seen on the teeth, you can figure the age out based on the teeth. Can you tell how old Larch is? You can either look at her or her picture. When aging a horse by its teeth, the first thing we check for is that it has what teeth it does or does not have. This is especially important in a young horse. Larch appears to have all of her teeth, so Larch was about at least 5, and they all appear to be full grown. Her angle of incidence is a little hard to line up without the help of skin, but it does appear to be more on the acute side, so Larch was probably at least 7. I believe Larch lived to be about 15 years old. These are the obvious signs I used. The Galvin's groove looks a little bit different on her than on her picture. It's really a little bit more than halfway down the tooth. That would lead you to believe that she's later in her teens than 15, but because of the presence of enamel spots and the not quite triangular shape of her tooth, she probably wasn't. These signs all vary on a case-to-case basis, such as in a case of odd dentition, or in a case of bishoping, which is when the teeth are filed down to make the horse look younger. But generally speaking, just like we aged Larch today, you can take that information and apply it to your own horse. If you'd like to learn more about how to do that, please check out any of these surfaces. As per usual, Horse Smarts, published by the American Used Horse Council, is one of my all-time favorites. And I found Horse Anatomy, a coloring atlas by Robert Kainer, especially helpful for this particular presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you can use this information learned today to better your equine care program. Or if not, you at least enjoyed it and learned something new. Are there any questions?
No questions, got a lot of comments though.
I don't know if mine's a question or a comment, so I'm gonna throw it out as a question because you have comments. You showed a picture of a 7-year-old gelding and you said something about blah, 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 he has a hook. I didn't know what you were talking about. If it was something visible, maybe if you would have gone and said, this is where you would find it, or this is what it looks like.
Okay.
Because I hear it from my vet. Oh, I got a couple. We just had the vet out last fall to float a couple teeth and say, oh, she got a couple of this, and this. It's like, okay, fix it. And she did, but I don't know what it was that she was looking at because I don't know. And if you had a picture of it, it would have been helpful to see what that was. So I guess that wasn't a question. I'm sorry, that was a comment.
Gosh, nothing to get the horse over.
No, that's no throw.
I love the presentation because I always am in awe when I ask someone, can you tell me how old my horse is? And they can stick their hand in the horse's mouth and come back and tell me, oh, this horse is 15, this horse is 20, this is this and this is that. It's a great presentation that explains a whole lot about the horse and the horse's teeth and all those things. But what I need you to do is, it's a good presentation, sometimes up there on the screen, walk up, point to that tooth that you outlined, say this is what this is, and so on and so forth. If you're gonna have visual aids, like I was wanting to come up there and take those out of your hand and look at them. Show them to your judges. Bring them up, pass it around, take a look at it, and that would help stimulate more.
Okay.
That's just a comment for you.
Having all that was great.
Yeah, I mean, it just, because and I still want to see it. I do.
So this tooth I pulled right out of her mouth. This tooth, like somebody let me borrow. I think it was probably about 20 or older based on the Galvin's groove. It obviously came from a draft horse.
Okay,
I hope
that's
so.
a big tooth.
Yeah.
I've got sunflower's milk teeth.
So you would call this what?
So that would be the enamel spot.
Okay.
And the dental star is this. It's kind of hard to see with this lighting, but it's like that mark up there or there.
Now you see how important that is, why I asked that question?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
But let me say, your time is like 11:20. If you're gonna do that, and I'm not sure how all the other presentations are, you're supposed to be between 9 and 12 minutes. So if you do that, you may need to consolidate some other stuff so you don't go over,
Yeah.
but that is helpful.
Okay.
Yeah,
Your
good voice,
your
good
enthusiasm
projection.
is good, sometimes a little too quick with some of the words.
Okay.
So an old guy like me who has to have hearing aids, I have to catch you,
Okay.
right? Other than that,
But there's a lot of information she's putting out,
that's a
and you
lot.
need to compact it
That's a
into
lot.
like the 3-minute span,
That's a lot, that's good though.
So-
I mean, I love that.
large.
15 years, huh?
About. I never knew it alive, so I could be completely wrong.
Friend of yours, is it? She?
It actually was an Amish. I'm 99% sure it was an Amish horse. Just
Okay.
it drowned in my grandpa. Like he has a hunting cabin. There's a private pond by it. And it drowned in that. He basically lives in the middle of nowhere. It drowned or froze to death, and somebody pulled it out with an ATV and just left it by the side of the pond. So we're like, educational opportunity. I'll take the skull.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Huh,
So it was probably like a standard bred because that seems to be the most common Amish breed, and it doesn't seem like drafty. But
yeah, it doesn't look drafty.
I have no clue anything about it, and I'm only assuming it's a mare because of the absence of a canine or wolf tooth.
Okay,
You have a horse.
I do.
What do you have?
I have a miniature gelding.
Miniature gelding? Good.
troublemaker, is he?
Yeah.
He thinks he's a big horse?
He.
Somebody talks about these minis earlier, and they say, well, you know, minis are always chubby. I said, that's because you're feeding them as much as you'd feed the other horses. You need to back off a bit.
My horse carries weight really well. Like, he's not like an easy keeper in the fact that he gets fat, but like I never have to adjust anything. Like he gets grass and he gets hay, and he
Nice,
keeps weight, and I'm like, okay.
nice, lucky.
The other gelding I show my mom's horse, he gets fat really easily, but he just his aside, he's definitely a stock halter horse.
Where in Niagara County are you?
They live in Ransomville. I live in Sanborn.
I live in
Who
Ransomville.
are they?
They live with Nicole and Jim Dabney / Robert.
Nicole.
Oh, we're friends with Cindy and
Oh,
Nicole.
yeah.
You live down the street from them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we have that farm just before you get to them.
Oh,
Down
fun.
by the school.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
do you have Sila's first then?
Yeah, she sold him though.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, he's still there, but she did sell him.
Oh.
She's pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
doing all this.
She's pregnant,
Yeah.
she sold him, she said, and I'm pissed at her, I'm sorry. I've known her when she was this big, and she knew every horse in our pasture, she knew them by name, she could come by. When she could finally get into horses, I was so proud of her. She did all the things, and
She met a guy and,
met a
Yeah.
guy, and I said, you know, the worst thing you can do is find a guy that doesn't like horses, because that's gonna make it bad for you. So
Oh.
he's allergic to
Yeah.
them, and I tell everybody, hey, if your mate isn't into what you're into, you're gonna have a problem,
Yeah.
because you love, when you love a horse, you love a horse.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
Right, right.
But she then started, well, I'll do a half lease, and then I think I'll sell him, I don't like him anymore, which is a lie.
it's a lot. I saw her the other
But-
day.
Yeah, so, I mean, I love the girl, but she pissed me off.
Understandably.
Mm. That's sad.
It's hard for her.
I have a new one now, so I'm working with her.
A friend of mine bought her, so, and she's
Oh,
had
nice.
horses. She had put her horse down 9 years ago,
Mm.
so she's got him and
That's
So you
nice.
come all the way out here and you meet people from.
Yeah.
So Mimi,